Hello dearies, welcome to the Craft Kitchen. So in case you just happen to have stumbled upon my channel, my name is Tina, I'm from Germany, and my channel is mostly about junk journaling and arts and crafts related to junk journaling. A few weeks ago I've started to make this lapbook, building this, sort of from the inside to the outside. So I started with this page here, and then I made sort of a flap and just different elements here. And in the last video of the lapbook adventure, I made what seems to be the outside front cover of my lapbook. I'm not sure yet, because the fun thing about making a lapbook from the inside to the outside is you can just build it up and up and up and up. And yeah, maybe end up with a labyrinth. So in the last video I added this flap here using a music sheet, a double-sided music sheet, and making those two pockets. And yeah, I was left with this page, which you can see is still bendable. So I don't think it's sturdy enough for using this in a lapbook, because you want to be able to fold it open and have it on your lap, hence the name. I think this page here is sort of sturdy enough. I'm not sure yet, we will see. But for sure I will have to reinforce this page. And I decided to do this not on this side but on the back side, because for now I want to have this part of the map next to my file folder sort of pockets. So I'm going to reinforce this side. And yeah, sadly for this I will have to cover this page, of course. But I guess I found a nice solution for this. So I'm going to be using this big envelope. I guess the number is C4 in Germany, so it's used to send a bunch of A4 papers. And I've been using this to hold my Alice in Wonderland pieces in here. I finally put all of this in a box. So I'm going to add this here, and using the flap, of course, as such. But for this I will have to cut this down the tiniest bit, so make it shorter. Also here make it a bit smaller, so it stays on the page. So then this page will be reinforced with this. And to reinforce this side here, I'm going to be using this page I found in an old Dutch school atlas showing the time zones all over the world. And I guess that's really a nice thing to have in a postal themed journal, or in this case lapbook, because when you're shipping worldwide you really would like to know what's the date and time on the other side of the world, right? So I'm going to put this on top of this. And also I'm going to be making some flaps, again using a used envelope, quite raggedy, but I guess I'll manage somehow with a window. And this one I printed out from Tracy Fox's it was a freebie, I remember, but I don't remember the name. Just recently. So I'm going to be using this envelope here and this one here. So I will have, at least with this big one, a triple pocket. So the first thing I will have to do is cut this envelope down so that it goes almost to the edge of this page here. And I have to be a bit careful, because this part here is still sticky. I would love to leave it like it is, but actually the white is too white for me, so I'm not going to put on some cornstarch here to make it non-sticky. I will just cover this with some sort of paper later, maybe make a collage. Too bad, because this really looks quite nice, but it's really, really white. So for now I want to measure how wide or how long, whatever, my envelope can be to fit on my page. So I wanted to cut like here, a bit away, just a smidgen away from this spine we made in the last video. This, more of a gusset, it's not a spine. So I'm going to cut this down here, but not exactly at my marking, because I want to be able to close it without losing about ½ centimeter here when gluing this back together again. So I'm going to cut this this way around, about maybe ½ centimeter from my marking. Well, let's say 1 centimeter. Doesn't make a difference at all. Come on, like so. Yeah, my cutting board is not long enough for this. And then I'm going to score exactly at the marking I made. For this, again, I'm using my cutting board, because I do have this sort of score blade here that doesn't reach down to the end, because my envelope is too long. Let's see, yeah. See, like I told you, if you do have a cutting board, you automatically will have a scoreboard. So yeah, like this. Now I'm going to cut this side here and also this up to my score line. Just here at the edge. So, again here. Like so. Let's see, and I'm going to fold this to the inside for now, but this will be my closure for the outside. But on the back of the envelope, where it's glued down to my paper anyway, and you won't see it anymore. And now I'm going to cut off this part here. I guess just use my scissors for this. Well, I have to turn it over to see my score line. Doesn't have to be straight, because this will be on the inside of the envelope. Well, it should be close to the score line. But no need to be straight. So, folding this back out, like so, and closing my envelope with this, like so. Now I guess I will have to cut off the tiniest bit more down here, because some of the paper is still in the way. Also here, this is so sticky. I was hoping when I coffee dye this, the stickiness would just vanish, but no, it didn't. see if I cut off enough. Yes, and I'm also going to miter the tiniest bit, the top and the bottom of this flap, just so you don't see it when looking at the envelope from this side. Let's see if I did it correctly before I glue it down. Or shot, more of shot actually. Let's see. Well, yeah, seems to be just right. Yeah. And now I want to cut off at least one side, but since I do have to, or I want to have the flap shaped like this, I'm only going to cut off one side. I could do this on both sides, so I would get, no, don't close. I would get rid of this here, this fold, but I don't mind, so I'm going to cut off only one side of this, like, let's see, I want to have this covering the entire page because I want to, yeah, reinforce my page with this. So going to cut this here. And this I do have to close it, I guess. Otherwise my blade will get stuck. Hopefully I can reopen it without damaging the envelope. I'm trying to be fast. Oh. Oh. Whoa. Okay, I did it. So, and now I want to have the same shape down here, like I do have here on top. Let me first glue this together down here. Let's see. This would do, but no, I'm going to be using this part, because when I put this here back on, I'm going to cover my envelope anyway. So when I put this cut off part here, it just looks like I didn't cut off anything down here, because, yeah, I'm going to cover this here, so it just looks like the envelope is still intact. And the same we will have here at the top, so not going close to the edge, but leaving the tiniest bit. Oh, sorry, you couldn't see this. Not going to the edge of the envelope, but leaving a tiniest bit of a gap here, so you will see a bit of this flap here, and therefore I'm gluing down the part I just cut off to close my envelope down here. Well, yeah, I'm going to fold this part in first. I wanted to glue this over my flap, but actually I'm going to glue this under this part here, because then I won't have too much shown here at the bottom. I'll show you what I mean in a minute. So down here already, I don't know if you can see this. This is just, I don't know, not even 1/2 millimeter, but I can see it. Yeah, of course, because I know it. When you fold paper over paper, it will get thicker, longer, whatever. And since I've been using the flap that was hanging here, I've made sort of a longer edge. It's really not really visible, but I don't like it. And if I would have glued this down before this flap, I would have had the thickness of this paper, this piece here, as well as the thickness of the flap, the tiny flap here, so double the size, and this would have been much more visible. Yeah, it's just my OCD, I guess. But if you use thicker cardstock, for example, scrapbook paper for this, scrapbook cardstock, in fact, you might want to think about where and how to fold your papers. So now I do have a bit of a smaller envelope. Again. Yeah, this is quite perfect, like so. This will fit in here absolutely gorgeously. And now I want this part of my flap look the same like this. But since I have to, or I want to, cover this inside anyway, I'm going to be doing this before I reshape my flap, because then I only have to cut once. So, and now we want to have this corner looking like this. So what I like to do is turn it over, so you won't have the print, just blank space, and just sort of not fold it, but bend it over like this and hold your envelope edges close to one another. Now you can either draw a line here and just cut along the line, but what I like to do is use paper clips to hold this in place, like so. And then I'm using my scissors and cut along my original flap shape here, so that if I accidentally cut too much off, they will be the same shape in the end, although I sort of miscut, right? I don't know if this is a word. So now I do have the flap shaped the same way down here as the original. Now I want to use the original fold to fold this in. For this you have to be sure that your glue you've been using to decorate the flap is really dry. Otherwise you will have some wrinkles or even folds in there. Burnish this down very well because it's now double layered. Maybe I'm going to do this to this side, so I will have really a crisp line here. Now like this. So this should be much better now. Yeah, I like it. And what I want to do now is cover this side of my envelope with, where is it? This piece of my map. I really like it. but I will have to cut it to size. So let's see. What's the width here? Ooh, this is quite perfect. I like it. Yeah. Let's see, I'm going to try and find the center of my page. Just making the tiniest crease here on top, like this. And I'm going to do the same to my envelope. Only like here, pinching this, the tiniest bit. Of course, I'm going to pinch the back side as well, but this will be glued on to the lapbook anyway. So lining these pinches up, and now, ooh, and now I can just find out where to cut. And I just found out this wasn't the best way to do this, because the map is not in the middle of the page. Well, if so, this would be a very good method to do this. So let me see. There is my edge. And again here, let me grab another pencil. I'm just going to sort of try and find my line. It's there. I guess I did a quite good job here. Yeah, there's my line and there's my line. Perfect. So I'm going to cut this to size. And if you do have the same problem like I do, well, the blade of my paper trimmer is not dull. The problem with it is that some pieces of paper are in here. So I just take some pokey tool and get those fuzzles out. But on the other hand, my cut here is not perfectly straight. Well, it is straight, but it's a bit fringed. So this makes it look a bit older, or used, aged, whatever. This can also be a nice thing to add to your journals. Yes. See, I really have to clean this, but I guess this is looking quite nice actually, because I already, oh, some magnets. I already do have a, what's it called? Distressed edge on my page. So trying to clean this the tiniest bit. I have to do this quite often with this trimmer. I'm not very fond of these blades here from this company, so yeah, I'm maybe going to try some other brand the next time I have to order them, but for now that'll do. So, and now I want to cut right above here the word, yeah, time zones. It's Dutch actually, and I do have this line on the back side. This, I don't know if you can see this. No, you can't really. So right underneath this line here is the word time zones. So I can use this line as a guide. Again, And I already do have some shredded paper again here in my paper cutter. Well, I guess I will have to live with this. So let's see. So the upper part fits, and also left and right. Yes. And now I will have to cut down here, and I will use the clocks. Wow. Well, I guess I will have to cut off the word time zones. This has to happen right under this line as well as here. I think so, yeah. Too bad, but I guess the illustration is quite obvious. So we don't need the word time zones actually. And let's see. Yeah, again, directly above the line. Well, I guess the fringes on your paper, or yeah, with your cutting, really depend also on your paper you're using. Yes. And you know what? Since I did cut off the black lines, bottom and top, I'm going to cut them off here as well. Yeah, because this just looks nicer to me. Yeah, much better. Much better. And now I will have to reinforce my opening here, because I can't use, like I wanted to, my paper edge to reinforce this. So I'm just going to glue this strip to the inside of my envelope. So on this side you only would see the coffee dyed border around this illustration. Now everything is glued down, and I also added 2 layers of coffee to my time zone map here, and as you can see, it's rather looking busy already, especially if I would glue this in here, like so, and have this side just like it is. So yeah, that's one of the reasons I decided against this envelope, because I want to add the large windowed envelope here to the right, and a smaller envelope here inside as a flap to the left. So this looks quite nice, I guess, especially if I would do it like this maybe. But if I'd use this themed envelope, well, yeah, everything is themed on here, but if I would use especially this envelope, I would have to decorate everything else sort of like around this color scheme or this theme, this postal theme here. And in fact, I don't know what I'm going to do for decoration on this page yet. So I exchanged this envelope for a coffee dyed stationery envelope, which actually has the same size. So if I would decide to have this design here on the page, I could just cut it off like this and put it on my envelope. So I'm going to use this windowed envelope and this simple stationery envelope I reinforced with boo-boo tape. In fact, I used homemade boo-boo tape for this, so just clear tape with a bit of alcohol ink, because the sticker sheets I'm using for printing Margaret's boo-boo tape are rather thick and not that easy to bend, so I used a thinner stationery tape. So this will look like this. Yeah, and I also reinforced this envelope just using a bit of washi tape. I've been using especially this design because I think when this is on here and matted afterwards, this edge here will not be that striking, and I also glued it on crooked. Doesn't matter. And yeah, this one I tried to cut open with my craft knife. Yeah, I guess I succeeded, but I also cut off a piece of the flap, which is no problem because the flap is going under here and glued down with my large envelope. But I will have to find a solution for this. So I don't know if you can see this. Here you actually can see the edge of the paper that was glued on here before I coffee dyed it. So the paper just came off when it was wet. So I could use this round edge, but actually I guess I prefer this triangular shape. Complicated word for a German. So I'm going to cut this in a more triangular shape because for these long envelopes you also get stationary envelopes sometimes that are, yeah, triangular on the back side. And yeah, also I didn't realize this. I've been using 3 different mixtures of coffee dye to dye these 3 envelopes, and this makes it rather interesting, I'd say. So not only the texture of the paper will make the coffee dye look differently every single time with every single mixture you make, but also the brand. I know for a fact that I've been using 2 different brands for this envelope and this. So this is more yellowish and this is more, yeah, like reddish brown. And this has been the same brand I've been using for this envelope, but this is also more grayish yellow. So it depends not only on the paper but also on the brand you're using for this. So let's take care of this envelope first. Here we go. So I just realized I have difficulties putting my paper in here because here is the acetate for the window attached and I get stuck here. And this is actually why I really like to cover almost the entire pocket from the inside if I'm going to cover it, because yeah, you just get stuck here. Well, in this case there is a loose edge of about 2 or 3 millimeters. Of course I get stuck, but this can also happen if you only do have like a slightly difference in height, yeah, of, I don't know, maybe 1 millimeter. So I will ink this, or will I? No, I'm going to cover the inside of my pocket first. Well, covering this is a bit of a problem. No, it's not in the way it could be difficult. The design will be a bit of a problem, but because I don't know what I'm going to do with this yet. Still, it's only the base for the lap book, yeah. So I guess I want to cover the inside of this, and I only have to go up with the cover paper here up until the window, so I won't get stuck here. I don't have to cut out the entire window. I guess I'm going to use just a piece of coffee dyed paper, and I'm trying to find a piece that does have another shade of brown. So a fourth shade of brown. Maybe I'm lucky. Now, when searching the pouch with my papers for this project, so the papers and also the scraps I keep in here, I found this scrap of, actually scrapbook paper, and this printed out sheet of a digital kit from Polka Art Studio, and yeah, I've been drawn to both. So this is rather neutral, so I could put this here into my envelope, and you would see a bit of this coffee stain and these scratches here, and it also belongs to this set, I guess it was. I don't remember. Or was this from Tracy's set? I don't remember. But then I found this piece of scrapbook paper, which is 200 GSM, no, 160, and it's, rather strong paper, nearly cardstock, whereas this is, I guess, 105 GSM photo paper. So yeah, I would like to use this one because the color scheme on here and the print wouldn't draw too much attention for this page, whereas this one definitely would, but it's thick paper. So if I would just cut off a strip here and glue this from, let's say, until my opening here, the back side of this would feel, a bit different, I'd say, because this would be backed with heavy paper, and there I would have just the envelope. With this thin paper, this would be much easier because you couldn't feel it. So yeah, I guess I actually will have to cut this to size and also cut out the window because I just want to. I want to have this design on the inside of my envelope. Yeah, why just make it easy on myself, right? So I'm actually going to use glue stick for this, because if I use just wet glue, no matter if it's bookbinding glue or this art glitter glue, I will smear it all over and it won't dry where I want it to be dry. So I'm going to be using glue stick. I actually don't like using glue stick too often. If I glue together like two old brittle book pages, this is perfectly fine. But yeah, glue stick is not made to sort of like last forever, or quite a long time. I trust this Pritt glue stick. This is a bit complicated to use because you actually can feel that this is paste in a stick form, stick shape. you really have to practice using this. So, yeah, if you're interested in practicing how to use glue stick, be my guest. So, there you go. So I'm going to glue this down here, and because I don't want to come this off, I'm just going to be using art glitter glue here on top, because when this piece of cardstock comes loose down here, it doesn't matter. You still can put your papers in here without getting stuck anywhere. Well, maybe let's say down here on the inside, but it still will will be sitting in there, because I'm going to be gluing this down with art glitter glue, only because it dries very fast. Otherwise I would use bookbinding glue for this. It's much cheaper and yeah, as reliable as art glitter glue. So yeah, it just takes a bit longer to dry, and I just realized I forgot to ink this white edge here. I hate it. I don't like those white edges, so the core of the paper to be seen. So I'm going to ink this, and also I left a bit of a gap to the fold here. You can see when I'm folding this over. So I'm going to ink this fold here as well. Just my preference. You don't have to do this, but I just like it. Maybe you will see a bit of this as well. So I'm going to ink this also, like so. Yeah, maybe a bit here and here. All the other edges I can do later. So now I'm going to glue this top part down with a method I don't really like. So I like when I do have a smooth glued down surface, so you can't feel or even see these glue lines underneath the paper, but in some cases it is what it is. So what I should do now, and I'm actually not sure about this, is, you know, when I attach this under my larger envelope here, this is glued down. Of course it is. And when I'm going to decorate the inside of my envelope, and this is glued down, I will have a bit of a hard time putting something in here under this flap, because everything is attached and I just can't bend it open like this. So what I could do now is just say, I'm just going to go with it. But what I also could do is try and find a sort of neutral scrap here in my pouch. Let's see. Let's get out the scraps. Oh, they are quite a lot. And I guess most of them won't fit the length of my envelope. No, of course not. This is also too short. Let's see. This also. Ooh, I do have this piece of my map, which I actually could put here on top. Well, more like this side up. I don't know. This is quite busy. No. I'm not going to do this. I just decided I'm going to make this a bit harder for myself. Glue the envelope, so the flap pocket, down to my large envelope, and then later, yeah, I sort of will have to deal with this. I guess I'm going to manage. somehow. But I have no idea where this design later on is heading. So no. I don't like the idea of yeah, just putting something there, and then afterwards I would have to, yeah, like with this envelope here, so with the Ärmel envelope, I would have to sort of find a design just around this piece. No, not going to do this. So I'm going to ink all around here, because even if I'm just going to matte everything, I'm not going to cover all the edges or cover everything up until the edges. So yeah, doing this before I glue it down is much easier. So now I'm just going to attach my envelopes to, so this one to the back of the large envelope, this one to the inside of the large envelope, and then I'm going to put everything onto this page. Because just like with this one, this is quite sturdy by now, because I put in this scrapbook cardstock. Actually, it's not paper, it's cardstock. And this way I will have this first page, or more of the cover page, a bit more sturdy in the end. Another important thing. So I attached my large envelope to the page. I wanted it to be with bookbinding glue, which contains more or less water, so of course water. And when I flipped it over, I saw what, yeah, I actually expected to see. You can see the folds here, like so. This is because I put my glue onto the back of this page, because it's always easier, if possible, to put the glue on the part you the one part you are not going to move too much. So I put my glue down to this page, then let it sit for mostly 1 minute while I was attaching glue to the edges of my large envelope to seal the edges. And in this time, this paper took up the glue, so it got damp, of course. And when paper gets wet or damp, the fibers just spread. This is what happened here. Of course, I do have some air bubbles underneath, but I'm not going to try and press this down. Here at this edge, I accidentally pressed too hard, although I knew what would happen. So I'm leaving it like it is for, I don't know, maybe 10-15 minutes, depends on yeah, how quickly this specific paper is able to let go of the humidity. So I'm going to let this like it is, and only when I see the fibers are sort of springing back and everything is beginning to even out, I'm helping with, I guess, just a cloth to press this down. Because when I would do this now, I would have a fold here, a permanent fold, and yeah, actually this is my front page. I don't want to have permanent folds here. Although here is going to be a pocket, but I want this to be shown. So I'm just going to wait what will happen, because yeah, bookbinding glue doesn't dry too fast. I will have a bit of time. Well, most of the folds or the wrinkles vanished all by themselves while drying. But with this one here, I don't know if you can see it. Well, yeah, I guess a bit. So like here. When I flipped everything over, I just, yeah, poked this fold here at the top and there at the bottom, so it didn't come back properly. Yeah, so I had to press this in, and now I do have sort of a don't know, second Mariana Trench. I have no idea. Whoa, my cat decided, hello, to clear the deck. She's playing with the spoon I've been using to make a new batch of coffee dye. So yeah, I do have this wrinkle here, and this will stay for sure, but look, I'm lucky. So I'm going, when this is closed, this will be covered like this. And I guess when I'm going to put, let me get my template, the pocket here on top, anything that will stick out here will cover this, the tiniest bit. So yeah, I just have to live with this. But let me fold this back, this, sort of like this. Now I again confused myself. What the actual, ah yeah, like this. So yeah, top page, fold out, so this will be covered by this tab here. And now I do have my inside pockets here. And for the closure, I already know what to do. So this again will be a policy closure, just to continue what I've already been doing for the other pages. But I'm only going to do this when I'm starting to mat those. So I can put my brad under, so the brad legs under the matting paper, and you won't see them here. Well, in fact, yeah, you will have the brad somewhere here, but covering them with a piece of tape will just do. Yeah. Well, I guess this page is not rocket science. In fact, it isn't. It's just a huge pocket here to reinforce the first page. This is doing quite some good job here. Yes. And I've just been showing you that sometimes the simplest things are sort of, yeah, the right things to do. And also, of course, I wanted to let you be a part, sort of this process. And hopefully I had some helpful thoughts for you. For example, why not put in the backing of this window yet? Or why I should have done this before. And also why I did exchange this envelope. You know, just the smallest things you might want to consider now and then, but just forget. Believe me, you're not the only ones. I forget things all the time. And very often I sit here and think, yeah, there was a rule of thumb, but you just ignored it. So maybe my thought process for this very simple page design was a bit helpful. Dearies, thanks for hanging out with me. And of course, I hope to see you next time, or rather you see me next time when I'm going to continue making the Lapbook journal. Until then, as always, stay creative and be excellent to each other. Bye!